Hi, everyone, and welcome to the FlatBackFour podcast, episode 5, where we are down to 2 at the minute. We've still got Dimi, who's a little bit unwell, and BB, as you know, if you've watched the last couple of podcasts, he works in the betting, and obviously with the Bundesliga starting right now, actually, today, it's a very, very busy time for him, but he has sent us some notes, and we will be doing a review show with BB next week. And he's going to be filling us in about all the betting, what's happened, because he's probably going to have a stupidly busy weekend, isn't he, Scott, this weekend?
Massively busy.
So, so the German league, as we know, it starts today. There's a game going on actually as we speak, and I believe you've been watching it. What's been the feel in the stadium?
Surreal. It doesn't feel like a proper atmosphere. To be honest, I think a lot of us have experienced games without any atmosphere. I think England played Croatia, didn't it, last year behind closed doors. It's a lot like that.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was terrible, wasn't it?
You could just hear Jordan Henderson just run.
Yeah.
Just
I love running. Loves running.
Yeah.
So you can hear the players shouting, the manager shouting. It's just a bit surreal. You know, I just saw Haaland score there, and it's like players are sort of told to stand away, you know, when they're celebrating. It's just surreal.
They've been told, like, no high fives, no nothing like that, is there? Which, you know, we all know at any level when you score a goal, you want to.
Yeah, you want to.
And especially for these players, they've not played for what, 8-9 weeks, you know.
Something like that.
So the ecstasy of actually scoring a goal, probably at the minute, is probably like that feeling when you were in the schoolyard and, you know, the teacher said 5 minutes left to break, and you know, but that's kind of like what it is, isn't it? So I mean, BB on the last show he's been very, very, very good, and what he does, BB, he actually accumulates odds for games and he creates odds, and he works very, very closely now, obviously, with the European leagues. Now he had Dortmund Schalke. This is what he had to say about it. He had to say, I had to look past Dortmund here for this one. They've won the last 4 Bundesliga matches pre-Corona. And with the likes of Sancho, Haaland, you fancy them to score a few goals against a Schalke team that hasn't won in 5. So they hadn't won in 5. And Haaland scored 9 goals in his first 8 appearances.
And he's just scored again.
And he's just scored again. So I think we'll give BB that one. He's put banker of a Dortmund win. So he was right on that one. Obviously, that's probably, you know, one of the biggest games of the weekend over there, and that. If this is a success with the games behind closed doors, do you think this is going to give a real impetus of going forward into next season behind closed doors?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think Bundesliga have probably started the trend here. I think maybe the Premier League and Serie A and whoever else have held back to see what the Bundesliga are doing at the minute. They're all probably watching at the moment to see how they're getting on, and maybe just to review after this weekend to see how it's gone, how it's affecting the games, and whether the Premier League can follow suit. Like I say, it's not a great watch. Just watch the first half an hour of the Dortmund game. It really affects the intensity of the game. You know, I don't think you ever fully appreciate how close the crowd gets to, you know, and influences the game. They are literally a 12th man. But yeah, I think the Premier League will possibly follow suit after this weekend. Maybe some sort of announcement after this weekend. Seeing that.
You think, though, Scott? Do you think that it's a little bit of a plaster over a wound at the minute, and we're limping over to get the season finished, but then starting a new season like this, where you know, nil point for everyone, and we all go forward without a crowd? I mean, obviously, listen, I think I can speak for us both that as long as it means that we can still play football and we can still watch it, we will live with it, and we'll have to do it. But do we think that everything will go ahead as normal? I mean, we've spoken in some of the other podcasts that, you know, maybe we drop the FA Cup. Is it just maybe important just to get the teams playing regular in a league, and without the fans, it's going to be a bit awkward. But at the end of the day, we're still seeing football, and maybe if we just get a league done, ready for the Euros next year, because remember, if we don't have that vaccine, we probably won't have the Euros again, or we may have, but again behind closed doors. But a major tournament?
Yeah, no, I can't see it. I think I said in the first week of the podcast, didn't I, that, you know, as long as it takes to get this season done, obviously we want fans in the stadium. But if it means that there's not going to be any fans in the stadium for the last however many games it is, then so be it. Just let's get this season finished. If it eats into next season slightly, fair enough. my proposal was to throw away maybe the League Cup for one season or the FA Cup for one season, carry on with the Premier League and the Champions League and Europa League. I don't think there's much financial. There'll be much financial issues in the FA Cup and the League Cup, really. And then just have a season of the Premier League.
The only thing I do say, though, about that, I mean, listen, I'm all for the cups and stuff. I think it's great, especially the FA Cup.
Me too.
But when you say it doesn't affect, but because of the financial strain, and you see a Notts County get through to a Championship or Premier League team, or someone down them neck of the woods, and they do pull out Liverpool, whether they're playing the reserves or not, that money for their gate and the TV money, it really does help them. So it's all right. Again, is it because we support a team in the Championship, and top 10 Championship teams and the Premier League teams are probably A-OK and safe, but them cups do mean a lot. So this is the thing. But what you've just said there is that knock-on effect that you're not going to please everyone.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I mean, how often though? To put that into perspective, how often does a smaller team get a bigger team? If you're
who got to semi-finals last year? Semi-finals. It was Burton Albion.
Yeah, and listen, that
could argue
that was a one-off for them. On average, I think a League One and League Two team probably has one League Cup game, maybe one FA Cup game.
All right. Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to play devil's advocate again, right? But after this season, and these teams may push, what about, because of the money that's lost, then Burton Albion teams in that genre will be really pushing to try and get as far as they can. So it actually might spur them, but we're saying, we'll get rid of the Carabao Cup, get rid of the FA Cup for now. But and I know what you're saying. It's it doesn't happen much, but because of this financial strain, maybe teams may take more of the cup game serious and really try and push, and you just never know. And there you go. They got absolutely annihilated in the semis, but still, that would have been huge for that club, for Burton Albion. Huge.
Yeah, massively. I do think, though, in this current situation, that there has to be some cutbacks. And the only two small cutbacks that I can see are the cup competitions. There's no way of compressing down a league. The European competitions aren't going to be left out either, let's be honest. And I think the only two really are the League Cup and the FA Cup, even if it's just the League Cup that we get rid of for a season.
Yeah.
I mean, not a huge fan of
I think
League Cup in general, but
it's really to free up that Wednesday midweek game, isn't it, as well, to try and catch up.
That's if we're pushing into next season. If we end up starting next season, if we end up starting next season in an October or November, then something's going to have to suffer in it, and it's probably going to be the League Cup or the FA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a good point. I'm just going to go back to the German league, actually, because this was quite an important thing that BB put on his notes. He said, the last point to add, of course, is that we have no idea the zero spectators how it's going to affect the home team's advantage / form, and whether we see more goals due to defenders not challenging as they would. Also expect cards. We will see. And that's true, actually. Like, it just puts, like you said, a whole different emphasis on the game, doesn't it? Like that whole, with the fans and that 12th man, will we see, maybe a bit more pressure on a striker's shoulders or a defender's shoulders? What a weird feeling it must be to play, especially Dortmund with, 60, 70,000 fans in there and whatnot. It must be extremely strange, that.
Yeah, like I was saying, the first sort of half an hour of that game that I've just watched, the intensity is just not there. It's not at all.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever appreciate the 12th man.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I can't see it working longer term anyway.
Well, no, I can't. I know I'm with you, but it's what we're going to have to do just to get football going, and that's what we said. It obviously is the tail of all this. We do want to see football being played, but in a safe situation. I mean, I watched the like I said, I think we touched on it the other day, the UFC with no. I mean, you just cannot take away that fact that like you said, the audience plays such a big part, and it was good, but like in football, you can hear every tackle. In UFC, you could hear every punch, every kick. In some things, it was quite cool because you really got a sense of like, whoa, that was like, wow, what these fighters do, train and stuff. And actually, I know I'm going a little bit off subject, but someone like Tony Ferguson, who fought in the UFC, he's an absolute machine. and I felt he crumbled when I was watching him the other day.
Because
I think maybe that having that, yeah, you know, he got a loss and he was taken. I mean, you know, Gadget's a really good fighter, but at the end of the day, I just wonder whether it affected him. So it's going to be really interesting. And you know what? It might sort out the men from the boys who step up and go, well, you know what? I don't need a crowd. I'm this good, and I'm going to play. Someone like Haaland, he's such a young guy, and he scored there again. You know, it's quite a weird atmosphere. All right, maybe there's not as pressure if you're an away striker and you miss and you hear the fans cheer and it's like a sarcastic cheer. But I just wonder what the pressure's going to be on something. It's going to be really interesting in the Premier League. It's going to be. Yeah. Listen, we're just going to move on. There's been some rule breakers this week.
Yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White breaking the rules, touting around.
So what?
He's not the first one, is he? He's not the first one, is he? There was Kyle Walker, Jack Grealish.
Yeah, the Kyle Walker thing's really funny now as well, because now he's saying that it's playing with his mental health. Now, look, I'm not for one saying, you know, for 1 second saying that it might be, he might be struggling. Listen, you know, these young footballers, to a degree, he's 29, he's a seasoned pro, but you know, in the fact that he's, we don't know what his mental state's like. We know what Aaron Lennon went through. This was pre-corona. Aaron Lennon felt that he needed to step aside, and he went and saw someone. So, you know, let's just get that clear. It doesn't matter how much money, how much fame you have. You know, people suffer. We've seen it. You know, we lost Gary Speed, and we still don't know what happened there. And you know,
we've got to tread so lightly, haven't we?
Yeah. So I mean, listen, we're not. But you know, it's hard to say. You know, have you just been caught out, and is it an easy way to get out of something by saying you've got mental health, you're struggling? I don't know, because I mean, was he struggling when he was caught with 2 girls round there? Yeah. You know, I mean, I don't. It could be. It might be his way of doing it. Listen, and if he's not married and he's not breaking any laws in the sense of he's allowed to do that, but we were in lockdown.
Yeah, but so that's not even just having the responsibility of being a footballer, is it? That's just like everybody else. You know, just follow the rules. Yeah. You know, it's incredibly difficult for people who are stuck in a flat, you know, for 6 to 7 weeks at the moment. Never mind somebody who can stay in a huge mansion, 20
pool,
God knows how many rooms. I mean, you know, come on. I know it's difficult for people who are living on their own.
And you know, I've got to say, Scott, I was really shocked at Kyle Walker because I actually always liked his mentality. I just remember his first season when he played for Man City, and he said he was so excited to get back to training with Pep Guardiola that he only had a 5-day holiday, and Pep Guardiola said to him, take 10 days. And he went, no, boss, I want to get back, because he says, I'm so frightened of losing my place in the team. You know, I want to get back. And I thought that was like, you know, he was 27, 28, you know, he'd done all them years at Spurs and not won anything, that when he'd gone to Man City and, you know, he'd won a league and he was in the hunt for it, he didn't want to lose his place. So actually I was kind of upset about Kyle Walker, because we're both fans of him. We both like Kyle Walker, don't we? So I hope that, you know, it's a mistake, and I hope that he, you know, I mean, he's done it now, and it's happened a couple of times.
He's had a tough time, hasn't he, over the last sort of 12 to 18 months in terms of his England place. He's probably not been on.
And
the
he's
best
in that funny age, isn't he? Now he's in that funny age of 30.
Probably his last big contract now. He lost his England place. I don't think he's been right probably since after the World Cup, really, has he?
Yeah.
No, I agree. Have dipped slightly. So maybe there is an underlying issue there.
There might be, and I hope, but I think Piers Morgan said it. We've been asked to sit on the sofa. It's hard for us all. We've all done it, and it doesn't matter whether you're a millionaire, billionaire, you know, the average Joe. We've just been told, you know, and whether you think it's right or whether it's wrong, we just got to do it. And the quicker that we all do it and we all just do it, we can get out of this mess, and we can start, you know, watching football, going to stadiums again, and watching and doing things that we like. You know, even going shopping normal at the minute is not right. So bringing us on, obviously, to the coronavirus, it has affected leagues, as we spoke about before. League Two has decided to call quits. So what were your first initial reaction when you got the notification that had happened?
Probably expected, really, wasn't it? I can't really see a way for them to finish the season.
No.
It does throw the question, though, where do you stop? You know, as we're going up the leagues, I know the lower leagues have sort of said no more. But where do you stop then? I know League Two have said no. A League One going to go next? A Championship going to follow?
And has League Two, that's what I'm saying, and League Two have said, maybe they'll stop as long as the promotion and relegation. And that is the whole can of worms that basically no one really knows what is going to go on with that, with the promotion and relegation, well, teams too, you don't want to leave League Two because obviously then you leave the football in league. That's even more money lost on the last 8 weeks already.
It just wouldn't feel right either, would it, getting promoted after, 34, 35 games or something, whatever it's been. It just wouldn't feel right after playing 3/4 of a season and getting promoted. You know what I mean? I'd feel like if there was
one game left and I would understand it. It must be so cruel, but if you were 3 points and you had to win your last game by 4 goals to go up, I can sort of understand. But then I suppose you could say, well, then could that game get played somehow, somewhere, maybe at a Premier League stadium? I don't know, in a safe environment so them two teams could. I'm not really sure. This is the thing. This is where, because money is the root of all evil and it does, but also it helps these teams and stuff. You are never going to satisfy everyone. So, unfortunately, we're going to have lawsuits, I think, regardless. I think we're just going to have to accept that there's going to be lawsuits. As a Leeds fan, and you being a Leeds fan, I don't want to see us go up just on points per game, whether we deserve it or not. You want to try and finish it. But in my heart of hearts, I think that maybe the Championship is not going to be played.
I tend to agree with you. And I just touching on that point as well of going on points per game. We're trying to stop crowds from filling in the stadiums or gathering around the stadiums. If a team like Leeds or a big team like, say, a Villa last year, if it got announced that the promotion was going ahead, you can't tell me there ain't going to be some parties around. We know what Leeds fans are like. We know what other fans are like. Clubs fans are going to gather, and it's just going to happen. If
they were on about Liverpool fans turning up to it wherever the neutral stadium was, and just being outside, and that that's not right, and and I understand it's incredibly hard for them, the fact that they haven't won it in 30 years, but parties can wait 6 months. We're all going to have to do it. And I mean, for Leeds, I don't know. For us, it's a bit bittersweet because obviously we've been down there so long that it's kind of hard to not get excited the fact that we might get up, because every team, whether you like Leeds or you don't like Leeds, or you like Liverpool or you don't like Liverpool, if it's your team, you'll be ecstatic. And if Liverpool fans got handed the league, they deserve it. Do Leeds and West Brom deserve it as much? We're not exactly running away where Liverpool are.
No, we're not.
That's what I'm saying. So Liverpool, you kind of go, listen, they needed 2 wins or they needed a draw and another team to mess up and they'd have won it. They've been the best team. But Leeds and West Brom have been the best team for majority of the season, but they're still well catchable. So what's the...
Leeds could be third or fourth within 2 or 3 games. If I'm a Fulham fan, I'd be absolutely fuming if the league ended now. 1 or 2 games and the season's turned around. So, like you say, there's going to be a lot of upset fans no matter what league you're in. I think even
it's funny that there's no situation that you kind of think of something and you go, that's a great, and then you go, but that's going to affect them, and then you think of another way and you go, oh, well, that's going to affect them. There is just no happy way of sorting this out without upsetting the apple cart.
I mean, my point, even from day one of this lockdown, was you don't carry on the season unless it's safe to do so with fans in the stadium, so you can carry on as normal. And obviously, money has played a big part now. For me, even as a football fan, I'm desperate to see football back. But in my ideal world, I would push the season on as far as it can go, even if it goes into 2021 and we finish the season next May. If that means that I can get fans back into the stadium and finish the season off with exactly the same rules, exactly the same fans, and carry on as normal, then absolutely so be it. I think to carry on
the thing is... I think it's the money, it's the economy, and it's I know that fans not going to the games has a big financial effect, but to getting the ball rolling, whether it be football, stock markets in general, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, they bring in so much money from investment as well.
Yeah, but
that he doesn't necessarily need the fans in.
But I'll pose you the question then. If this was Qatar 2022 World Cup year, do you reckon they'd play them games behind closed doors or push it on?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Big question.
Personally, it's a big question, and do you know what? As well, it just shows you how much of a mess up that is now because of the Euros being pushed back. The World Cup is a real pain for us because it's in winter. Now, if the World Cup would have been in the summer, we could have kept on pushing the Premier League back, even if it had taken 5 years for the scheduling to get back on track. But that Qatar World Cup now has really thrown the cat amongst the pigeons because we're going to have to, even if we have some sort of level of timetable, it's going to get messed up again as soon as that happens again. The illegal, I mean, for me, it was illegal. There was definite buns being handed around left, right and centre there. And it should have been taken off them. And actually, I kind of feel like this is a good excuse to take it off them and get it in a neutral country who can host it, in a summer, and we'll do so. It's safe. We'll do it safe.
Somebody made that point the other day, though. If we can move the calendar around to fit a Qatar World Cup in a winter whilst the Premier League's going on, why can't we move the calendar for a pandemic? Because money plays a part.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Money is the overriding feature here, isn't it?
And as well, the Qatar World Cup was obviously because of the heat, and it's only about 25 degrees in winter, which is still pretty hot. But obviously, that's the reason for it. And listen, we want the players to be safe, but we know that was corrupt. We all know it was corrupt. I mean, Russia, as much as probably that was bought, they actually did a good job. And I'm not saying that Qatar probably won't do a good job. In fact, it will probably be a brilliant World Cup. I can't deny, they've got the money to do it. But when you have watched how it's been done and the initialness, and then look, we set Blatter and Platini. I mean, I think that them bids, maybe not Russia, but I think any following bids from them should have been scrapped. I think it should have been scrapped because for me there was just too much dirty money being handed around there.
Agreed.
So realistically, we still don't know what is going to happen. We do know that it's a middle of June return for the Premier League. Serie A have said the same. The French league and stuff, it's been quiet since they've awarded the title. And that, again, we don't really know what the effect of the Champions League and Europa League is going to be next year. I think we're going to have to sit back.
Do we not think that they awarded that title too early in France and Belgium? Do we not think?
Far too early.
Do not think they should have sat down, overlooked the situation, and waited and see what developed, not just jump straight in and call off a league straight away. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, no, I agree, and I actually think as well. I don't know who made the point. I don't even know if it was me. Whether when we said, shouldn't all be of FAs got together and said, look. If let's all do this, one for all and all for one, and let's go in and let's see if we can all finish the games together, so that the European games might not be as effective, because if you're third, fourth, and fifth, do you go like this? Well, hang on a minute. I'm in a Champions League position, or I'm in a Europa League position, but I can get a Champions League position. So you finishing your league early, that's affected, Marseille that might be there, or I don't know. I don't know. I just think that they should have just waited. I think the FAs maybe should have just spoke to each other, doing what we're doing now through video. And do you know what? Even if they tried to put something on the table and it didn't work because of hearsay, money, this, that, and the other, well, then at least they can't say that they've had a bash, and the FAs have gone, you know what, we think it's safer, because I think, is it France that have stopped all sports until September? So, look, they've made that decision as a country. I get that. But for me, there's only 9-10 games left of each season. Yeah. Why couldn't we have... The players have had so much of a break. They could have finished the league in September, had a 2-week turnaround, started it, got rid of the cups, and we could have still finished in May.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
I don't know. I mean, look, it's all up for debate. And obviously, listen, the sponsors, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it, as well? Sponsors have probably got their thing that they might have run out on June 30th as well, and a new sponsor's taking over. Do they put their sponsor on a new kit that's technically the 1920 season? Listen, it's a horrible game. I've seen it in my industry, that the whole sponsorship deals and stuff. It's a very nasty game, and it's a fight. You want to be on the shirt of Man United and Liverpool and Newcastle and all the top clubs. You want to be on that shirt, PSG, Real Madrid. And that, I think, if this had been 40, 50 years ago, maybe after the war and the league started back up again, in a sense, a lot easier. It really was, I mean, apart from obviously, and I say easier lightly, war, it was absolutely terrible. And, we're fighting this invisible war, but I mean, there really was physical effects of stadiums being damaged and cities damaged and stuff. But actually, if you're just talking about the premises of a league and picking it up and starting it again, it was probably easier than now because money talks in these.
Yeah, of course.
Speaking about money, I'm going to take us on to our next bit. We thought we wouldn't go on about this too long, so we're actually going to do a bit of reminiscing, right? Mm-hmm. And we thought it might be quite a good idea to pick our teams that we think in the Premier League era, because we're celebrating 25 years. Of course, we spoke about on the last podcast that Blackburn won. Teams that have done well in the Premier League that we want to talk about why we think they were the best. Okay, now, I don't know yours, you don't know mine. Hopefully we've not picked the same one. So what was your team? Who was your team that you think was, wow, unbelievable since the Premier League began?
The best team in the Premier League era, the best team was the Arsenal Invincibles.
All right, we've picked different teams, so that's good.
The best team was the Arsenal Invincibles. That's not just because they were unbeaten. Well, mainly because they were unbeaten. But the football that they played was absolutely sensational. The counter-attacking football away from home, the pass move at home. They were undefeated because they were absolutely unbelievable. You look at that team, Lehmann in goal, solid. Of course, he had one mistake a season in him. Not like another keeper who's got like 5 or 6 mistakes in him. He had one mistake a season. He was solid. His distribution was great. He was a calm head. Yep. You look at that defence. Ashley Cole, probably the best left back in the.
It wasn't calm in the Champions League final.
It wasn't. You look at that defence. Ashley Cole, best left back there's ever been in the Premier League. Yeah, the two centre backs. I mean, by the way, this team just named it itself. The two centre backs, Campbell and Toure, pace, power, everything there. Lauren at right back was fantastic. No nonsense, right back, up and down that line. And that midfield four, Pires, Gilberto, Vieira, that middle two was absolutely stunning. Lundberg on that right, even Ray Parler when he came in, and that front two of Henry, Bergkamp, and even God rest his soul, Antonio Reyes came halfway through the season.
Yeah. What a player! What a player!
But those even the players that came in, during the season, off the bench, players like an Edu, what a player!
Yeah.
An underrated
and actually, who was talking the other day? Sandros was saying that he joined in that era. He didn't play, but he was there, and he just said, sitting on the bench, just watching these, going, "Wow." Unbelievable.
There was just no weakness, and I know a lot of people say that they had a lot of draws. So what? They didn't get defeated once. They went 49 games unbeaten, a full season and a bit of the next season, and it took an unbelievably good Man United team to beat them by a penalty that wasn't a penalty. And
I know. And can I ask about that Arsenal team? It was so good all over the pitch, and it had leaders, and it just had everything. Why did Arsene Wenger go from having that? And listen, I think some of it was great scouting and great management from Wenger in them early years, and then what he brought through. I mean, he inherited a good team. But what went wrong with Wenger? Why didn't he go back to the basics when they had that little dip, maybe talking from 2006 to 10, where they had like Shamak and they were buying players that you just thought, this ain't Arsenal. This ain't Arsenal.
I think a lot of teams or a lot of clubs who move into a new stadium do suffer a bit of a dip. Once they move into a new stadium, I do think it takes time, not just financially because you have to hold back on transfers, but just to get used to that, that atmosphere in the new stadium. Even as small as a fan getting used to the new seat, in the Kop. Even in the short term after that, I think the season after they did the Invincibles, I think they finished 4th. I just think, there probably wasn't as much hunger in that team as maybe a Man United of a 99 team to defend the title. But if we're talking English teams purely in the Premier League, they have to be the best. Not in Europe, they weren't great in Europe. They had good nights in Europe. I'm thinking Real Madrid away when Henry scored that unbelievable
he
goal.
was phenomenal. Inter Milan as well. I remember
Inter
that
Milan,
Inter Milan game.
The 5-1 Inter Milan game. Was it Prague away? The outside of the foot curler from Henry, stunning.
Beautiful goal. Yeah,
there was some unbelievable European nights, but if we're talking just Premier League era, they are the best.
Is that the one thing missing off that CV for some of them? For them, that team though, that Champions League, they should have won They should have won it.
They should have won that final, shouldn't they? It was just
should have won
a moment of madness. But even then, Campbell scored. They went 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Could they have held out? I remember the game. I think they just ran out of steam. I think having that one player as well. I think was it Pires who we took off the substitution to
I think so. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
I mean, what a player to bring off in a final. Pires to come off after what was it? 10 or so minutes.
It wasn't long into a game.
That was probably.
I actually remember. Do you know what, Scott? I was living in Germany then, and there was a guy. I was watching that in a bar, and a guy had put €1,000 on Arsenal to win 1-0. And I just remember when Jens Lehmann got sent off. I have never seen anyone go from. He was honestly, mate. He was so excited and buzzing for that game. He had Arsenal. He went, they are going to absolutely smash this. He went, they're going to be so good. And then just when Lehmann got sent off, you've never seen anyone crash so much, honestly, I mean, you're right. They should have won it even though with 10, I thought. I mean, it was a good Barca team, but that was a really good Arsenal team.
I just think for me as well, that era, that 2003-4 season, obviously our team, Leeds, were relegated in that season. I don't know if we paid particularly more attention to the Premier League. But that was a time for me where that knowledge of football, that love of football was just growing at that time, and I'd never seen a team play like that before, like an Arsenal. That counter-attack.
And that's what I said. I said, mate, on one of the last pods. I remember a game at Ellen Road. I've never seen a team play as fast.
Oh, they just they blitz
probably
teams,
from that. Yeah, that year, that 2000, then 4 years. I remember you were going to Ellen Road and you just used to think.
Yeah, there's never been a team like it.
Even our great Champions League team, and it was, we had a great team and we were solid and we could go up, we batty. But do you know what? They were that good. I remember before, like, you'd watch one pass, it had gone, and they were already down the other end of the pitch. They were next level. They were so good as a team. And I agree. I think they were a very good team. Probably, arguably. I mean, because they went season undefeated, but they did have a lot of draws. And that's where I know some people go, but come on, it's the Premier League. I get it, and I do. But they did have a lot of draws. They still won the league, so you think, well, that's fine. But Henry, I mean, he has to be, if not, probably the best foreign import.
Yep.
He's got to be that.
He's the best player I've seen in the Premier League. The best.
Yeah. Yeah, he was so I mean, again, watching him play, I mean, I've got to be honest. I rated him, and I've seen Ronaldo play a few times. But I mean, I would have liked to have seen the Ronaldo of 2010 to 13, 14 back in the Premier League to see how good he was. Because my God, what a player as well. But Henry he just glided, didn't he, along a pitch? He was he was next level.
Your team
brings me on to my team. Now, again, similar era. Mine was that Chelsea team. The Jose Mourinho team, when he first came in, it had everything, that team. Power, pace, spine, and not just that, they had a winner. Mourinho was a winner. And because he'd come from Porto and he, winning the Champions League, but he was still a bit of an unknown, a bit like when Wenger came into the, Premier League. But we knew a little bit of Mourinho running down the pitch. But for me, that team speaks for itself. John Terry, Lampard, Drogba, Petr Cech. Yeah. I always go on spines, and talking about Arsenal, that's something that the Seville are lacking. I think Lampard now is going to try and do exactly the same because he was in that team and that mentality. Unbelievable team. Petr Cech, so super solid, great kicker. Very calm. If you look behind you, you see Petr Cech, brilliant. Petr Cech must have looked in front of him and gone, John Terry, I'm safe as houses.
Yeah.
And then moving on, of course, Cole, Drogba, then Lampard started scoring 20 league goals a season from midfield constantly. year in, year out.
Yeah.
And then for me, that era of that Chelsea team, they added the right players when they got Robben and they got Duff. And I feel like they really built. And I just thought that every time that Chelsea team went out onto a pitch, they weren't going to lose. They weren't going to lose. They should have won the Champions League. John Terry missed a penalty. I was actually happy in the end that team, that spine of Lampard and that they won the Champions League because excellent. I mean, they were just, for me, they just had everything in strength. But for me, it was Mourinho, the way he kind of turned the Premier League on its head. And the beautiful football of Arsenal, maybe they didn't play, but wow, power, strength, and they did play some good stuff. But wow, they were just a powerhouse of a team for me. And actually, maybe should have gone and won maybe a couple more. But with Fergie then and Man U, they always seem to have that, bounce back ability effect on. There you go. Brings us on to our next thing. We have a guest joining us next week. In fact, we've got two guests joining us next week. We're not going to reveal the second guest until maybe in the next podcast. But our first guest is going to be Ian Dowie. We've got Ian Dowie joining us on the podcast, which is brilliant. He's a lovely man. And he's going to be talking about what's probably going on in managers' minds and players now and really getting an insight. I'm guessing you're looking forward to that.
Big time. Be great to see the big man. Yeah.
He's going to have some great knowledge and what a first guest for us as well. So tune in for that. Episode 6, that will be first guest, Ian Dowie. But for now, thanks very much, Scott. We will also do a Bundesliga review next week as well. So keep tuned. It's going to be good. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.